Uh, okay. Yeah. Hi everyone, super happy to be here to the Lightning conference. Have a very awesome weekend, hope you so too. Today, awesome talk on Rust Lightning, a project has been contributing since a year and a half, something like that. So just before to get started, please take photo of the slides, not of me. I like my quietness, so thanks a lot. So, history of Rust Lightning. The idea was to build something really flexible, something really modular. That was the Blue-Mat idea. It got started in beginning of 2018. I started to contribute like summer 2018. It's an ongoing work. It's built on top of the awesome Rust Bitcoin ecosystem. We use the awesome Anditoshi Rust Bitcoin library. So, why Lightning? Why are we here? What do we want to build with Lightning? I mean, do we want to reach Bitcoin promises of instant transaction, scaling to the mass, this kind of hopes? Do we want to enable fancy financial contracts? Do we want to build like streams of microtransactions? And it's not really clear when you are reading like the Lightning white papers. I mean, the authors have different ideas on how you can use Lightning and what you can use Lightning for. So, why to work on Lightning when you are young developers? Well, it's one of the most wide and uncharted territory. You know, there is so much things to do, so much things to build, and so that's really exciting. But there's still like a lot of unknown. Well, we are building this network of monet pipes, but we don't know yet the how of the pipes. We don't know the what are going to flow through them. We don't know where are going to be deployed and by who. You know, there is a lot of uncertainty. So, how? I mean, you know, right now it's single-funded channel, really simple to understand, but tomorrow we'll have things like channel factories, multi-party channel, set of transaction, L2-based update mechanism, maybe splicing and building like conjoint transaction. We open like a set of channels, maybe something like obscure the bytes to do like lightning balls. So there's still like a lot of flux going there. So what are we going to send through these pipes? Are we going to send only HTLC or more complex stuff like DLC, like combination of DLC, like conditional payments? Like if you follow like Lightning Dev, there is now some ongoing conversation on payment points and what you can build thanks to that. Where are we going to deploy Lightning on the internet? You know, there is a lot of ideas on how to use Lightning to fund meshnet and this kind of stuff. Or it could be like device in electricity grid to like you're going to pay for what you consume from a stream. Maybe also hardware security modules. If you're on exchange, you are going to deploy Lightning on some architecture without a broadband connection to internet because, you know, internet is really wide on the security viewpoint. Who are going to use our stuff? And I think that's the biggest question to ask, like, because that's something you can inherit from the base layer, but you don't have the same bandwidth if you live in New York or if you live in South Africa or if you live in Germany or, you know, people have different viewpoints on this, they have different resources. You know, a basic consumer is not going to use Lightning the way a merchant is going to use Lightning, the way Lightning equity providers are going to set their infrastructures. So there is a lot of open questions, the who, what, how, when. And, you know, we can look at the history of software engineering and how do they solve these issues. Well, you know, I believe in the whole like Unix philosophy of do something simple, do something modular, combine the building blocks. And that's really what I really like in Rust Lightning. We are really trying to build a modular library. So it should be simple. It should be like composable APIs. And you should be able to integrate them in your own stuff the way you want it. We have a real focus on reviewing, testing, and playing with fuzzers and burning a lot of CPU hours and fuzzing. It should be easy to plug your own stuff. It should be easy. You know, the C Lightning community is building a lot of great plugins. It should be easy to integrate with this kind of stuff. Just an interface to write. And no dependency. Since this summer, we have no more dependency, a part of Rust Bitcoin and also Rust Bitcoin library. So that's really cool because tracking down what's going inside your library, your third-party library and your dependencies, that's a nightmare. So a quick look on anatomy or Rust Lightning. So we have the main component is the channel manager. Is going to receive keys from the key manager, sends to it, is going to be able to generate channel. Every update you get in your channel, you should pass it to a channel, a mini channel monitor. That's what we call watchtowers in the mainstream Lightning language. Your channel monitor should be connected to the chain, and at the same time, you should have a peer handler, which sends like blobs of data, encrypted blocks of data to the Lightning network. All these components, their interface, you can, if you don't like what you have done with the peer handler, you can rewrite your own peer-to-peer stack. If you don't need a router because you are going to, maybe only do channel with a preset of people, you can get out the router. Many channel monitors, we have a default implementation for watchtowers, but if you don't like it, a backend of the watchtower. We don't have done yet the rest of the integration, but you can rewrite yours. Yeah, really modular. Let's go through every interfaces. So chain manager is our implementation of the abstract interface, the chain message handler. That's the main component of every Lightning implementation is how you're going to dispatch a message, opening a channel, updating a channel, closing a channel. Chain manager, we have the key managers. That should be just a stub of codes to plug with your wallets. We don't want you to force to use a Lightning wallet. You should come with your wallet. You are already using this for the on-chain, and you should just, plug Lightning as a stack to your wallet. So just like you are going to ask to the user, give me a secret, and I'm going just to do the Lightning derivation stuff for you. And if I got like outputs on the chain, I'm just going to send events to your wallet. Hey, dude, you have out points waiting for you on the chain to be used in your later transactions. Peer managers, like I said, it's really important. It's going to drive your whole implementation. If you want to implement this stuff, you should react to network events and update the state of your Lightning nodes thanks to the message. Then you have the main channel monitor. Something I work a lot on it. Getting right, the punishment stuff on Lightning is maybe one of the hardest parts. That's super easy to integrate with a channel manager or a higher interface. You should just get updates from the off-chain stuff to the on-chain. And if there is like any on-chain stuff, like, you read the pre-image from someone claiming HTLC, and you pass the pre-image to your off-chain stuff, so the off-chain stuff is able to claim backward in the incoming channel what has been broadcast on the outgoing channel on-chain. And last piece of software, last abstract interface, the routing message handler, and we have implemented the component is a router. Yeah, all the gossip stuff, same. I mean, if you want to build a custom database, if you want like to build a huge database to, be able to have a full view of the network graph, you should do it. If you want to, if you have just a mobile device and you want just a smaller one, you can do it. Yeah. And yeah, last piece, it's more like integrating with the on-chain stuff. What is really hard if you have like any piece of Bitcoin software is getting right in case of reorg. If you have already like a chain management tracker for your custom like enterprise wallet, you should be able to reuse this channel management stuff for your Lightning stuff. You don't have to track like, shouldn't have multiple servers doing the tracking, just chain tracking or the chain management. So you should be able to integrate this interface on top of an Electrum server or something like that. So I will go through, some kind of scenario or use case for how you can deploy Rust Lightning. So let's say you're an exchange. So if you're an exchange, you may want to have multiple nodes. But if you have multiple Lightning nodes, you should share the router. Because, gossips, there is no reasons to have multiple routers for multiple Lightning nodes you own. You should have multiple watchtowers for your Lightning nodes. Every time you get an update in your channel, you should do a copy of the updates and have multiple watchtowers on different servers. If one goes down, you still have all those watch shows to be sure that the off-chain state is going to be enforced on-chain. Some things you should do if you're an enterprise or exchange, or if you're under a lot of money, you should have multiple Bitcoin nodes. Because that's there is a lot of Eclipse attacks, a lot of way to trick your view of the blockchain on the first layer, and thanks to that, being able to steal your money on the off-chain one. So you should have multiple Bitcoin nodes and do sometime reconciliation between what your different Bitcoin nodes see, to be sure you see the best blockchain in the network and not a fake one. And if you're an exchange, you have already a big wallet with a lot of UTXO, and you should reuse this exchange wallet with your Lightning daemon. You should be able to do this in a simple way. So that's if you're an exchange, if you're a merchant, that's maybe the kind of thing you want to do. Let's say you want to build a Lightning node for a mainnet, which is quite an interesting exercise. If you're a Lightning node, you don't have a broadband communication every time, so you're going to do update with another guy, and your watchtower is going to be connected to the broadband internet. And every time you can get a connection to the broadband internet through the mainnet, you are going to send updates. So in this kind of case, you may want to have longer CSV on your commitment transaction and HTLC success transaction and HTLC timer transaction to be sure to offer you like more time being offline. And your Bitcoin full node is going to run like on the other side of the separation between mainnet and internet. And if you're writing a router for the mainnet, it's going to be maybe super simple. So you may want to adapt that. Let's say you're a hardware wallet vendor, and you want to split the different components, and it's still an ongoing work. Are we able to have like a trusted device with just unlink the keys, which should be able to distrust the Lightning nodes? That's still an ongoing conversation. We don't want an hardware wallet to be fully aware of the Lightning protocol, because if we do that, most of the hardware don't have enough RAM to do it. And so you may want to, dispatch the components in a way to have just the key major things on the trusted device and all the other components on, wider normal computer, regular one. And let's say last thing we have done, thanks to Riard is being able to run Rust Lightning on WASM, so you can run Rust Lightning in your browser. A browser, there is like multiple processes. There is like the browser, there is a renderer, there is a plugin. You can imagine a thing like having a full Lightning node running in every one of your tab, and just sending through the browsers to your Bitcoin full node or to your Lightning backend, and just having a watchtower watching outside of your browsers for your Lightning node running the browser. So Lightning over HTTPS should be a thing. I don't see how people should use this, because running money into your browser, maybe not the best idea, but for some small sum, for video games, this kind of stuff, that's not a risk, That's a risk. So, state of the project. We are almost done with the 1.0. In fact, we are done with the 1.0. We're just implementing like bumping engine and more like time-sensitive bumping of the fill rate of the transaction. So it works on testnet with the different implementation, LND, C-Lightning, Eclair. We just wait some object out of the 1.1 spec, like option simplifying commitments, because we don't like the update fee mechanism right now. That's quite a hard mechanism to get right. New contributors welcome. If you want to get started in Bitcoin protocol development, and if you like Rust, that's an awesome project. It's not that much hard. There is not that much, layers of software to understand. We just have the core of the protocol. It's super friendly. We have an awesome Rust Bitcoin IRC channel. So just ping us there. People are super welcoming. And thanks to Shenka to sponsor this work. Amazing team. Really glad to be part of them. And thanks to the Lightning Conf. Thanks to the volunteers. Thanks to every time we have given time to be there. And questions? Thanks.